You're joking
not
at my
joking.
expense.
No. So you didn't know any of that happened until you watched it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I sit with you? Yes, you can sit with me. And we want you to sit with us.
It's Dom.
And Ella.
You may know us from finding love on reality TV, and by that we mean with each other.
Two best friends figuring out life.
Chatting all things reality TV, because, I mean, how could we not?
And all things in between. Sex, relationships, dating, and navigating being a female in the world.
Unfiltered and fabulous advice
From your two besties.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sit With Us. This is part 2 with Jayden from MAFS, and strap yourselves in because we're getting into all of that Nova party drama and all the shit post-MAFS experiment.
Let's go. During the show airing, there was an article that came out about Jayden asking Mitch for advice or something. Like, is that true?
I don't think so, to be honest. We rang Mitch. Like, we used to FaceTime him once a week probably and just like tell him what had been going on and stuff.
Yeah.
But you guys probably did that with your brother and sister too.
Yeah.
And if your brother or sister was on the same TV show, I'm sure you would have rang and said, what's coming next week? Or something, you know, like,
and give me the goss kind of thing.
And an article would have been written because they would just assume that, you know, that you
Jayden
guys had called
wasn't
him.
like actually asking Mitch for advice on like drama or how to get airtime or anything like
to
that.
be fair, Mitch was never really in the drama, was he? Like, Mitch wasn't really like a...
Well, he didn't want the drama, did he? He tried to.
Jayden's quite opposite in that sense.
There was a couple of things, but no, like the boys' night when Mitch like went for Daniel and
your wig and bruv,
things.
your rig and bruv,
wig and bruv. There was like a few things, but no, he didn't really like.
No, so it would be
drama.
random for him to ask Mitch for advice on that. I really don't think that's true, unless they were doing it when I wasn't there. I don't know, but we used to FaceTime Mitch. Absolutely,
Wow.
Mitch actually a couple of times when we were FaceTiming him during filming posted it on his story.
Right.
And I freaked out. I was like, take that down. We're going to get in trouble. Like, you know, but no one knew who we were at that point as well because the show hadn't aired yet.
So weird how Jayden wore Mitch's 2 suits.
like constantly was wearing the thing, and she'd be watching it and be like, "Oh my god, that's Mitch's." This.
I loved Mitch's wedding suit.
Yeah, it was
so nice.
I was nice.
really encouraging him to wear that to reunion.
But like we were filming our Channel 9 like MAFS debriefs because those were the 2 times that I saw it and I was like, hang on a second, that suit looks really familiar. Isn't Jayden like a lot taller than Mitch?
Yes. So that you remember the floral one that he wore to the final dinner party?
Yeah.
It was so small on him. I think it may have ripped, but it was like up to here and the pants were like so tight and like crotchy because he couldn't pull them up properly because they were so small. Because Mitch is a fair bit smaller than Jayden.
He is, right?
He might be offended by me saying that, but he is.
Well, I mean, I thought.
it's pretty obvious.
Like Jayden's like super tall.
And Jayden's a big boy.
Yeah.
Like he's a big boy.
He's built.
Yeah.
After homestays, I mean, you guys obviously would have gotten closer being in your own home and your own everything and being around Cub with Jayden.
Yeah.
Like, was that a big turning point, I guess, leading towards the end? You were like, I really like this guy.
I think as well, Jayden and I live 5 minutes drive from each other.
That's
it was
nuts.
never a question of whether it can work.
Yeah.
Because we live so close to each other. It was a no-brainer. And like I met his family. We all got along really well. He'd met mine. You know, it was a 5-minute drive up the road. Cub adores him. I was like, this is easy. It's all easy. There's no problems.
It really would have felt like a no-brainer.
Yeah, totally.
Like
I mean, there was things that he did that annoyed me. There was things that I did that annoyed him, but it didn't even question not being with him. No, not at all.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And I guess after all the girl stuff, because I mean, we know in the experiment, like being in that environment with girls that are like
toxic.
You know, and like just that high school stuff, you know, leading up towards the end, did you ever feel like a bit isolated from the group?
Not really, to be honest. I was pretty close with everyone. You guys had, say, like a best friend, like it was the 2 of you.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't really have that.
Yeah.
But I was really close with everyone. You know, I was close with Lucinda and Andrea and Jade and Stephen and so I definitely never felt isolated. I isolate myself sometimes, but that's not because of any other reason. Yeah, I was pretty much close with everyone.
And Timothy and Jayden's like butting heads. Why?
Yeah.
Like, what was that? I never really understood it.
Yeah, what was with that?
I don't know, to be honest. I feel like he didn't like Jayden and Jayden didn't like him, and it just
like 2
it stuck.
alpha males.
Yes.
Timothy thought he was a bit of a showman.
I think,
And he is, though. He is a showman. You know, he'd admit it himself. He doesn't mind that title, I don't think.
Yeah.
So, but that personality type doesn't really work with Timothy, I think. So, yeah.
Because apparently there's a lot of stuff about Timothy that we didn't actually see.
Tim said that he thought Timothy was going to be the villain at the start.
Oh, I thought that in the first 2 weeks.
But I never really...
I thought Jack would be the worst, but I also thought Timothy would be up there with him. But then he really did take a turn.
So interesting, because I just never thought that about Timothy.
No, but we never saw the behind closed doors stuff.
Yeah.
And that's when he was always really sweet and really lovely. At the dinner parties, he was always quite cold to Lucinda and really combative and arguing with everyone and stuff. So we all just thought he was a bad guy. But then, yeah, that turned quickly when we got to know him on the level that Lucinda would have behind closed doors, which you all would have seen from the very beginning, but we didn't see that.
Yeah, right.
And that's the thing, like even people's backstories, like you might have had this with your season, say like Cass's backstory.
Yeah.
I had no idea because we never, we don't
Spend
see
that
them.
time.
Yeah.
And we see them at the dinner parties. We don't say like,
You talk
what's
about-
happened to your mum and dad?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
happened in
you're
your
not
last
supposed to talk
relationship?
about like your personal, you're meant to be talking about your relationship. You're only meant to be
Yes.
talking about what's happening in the experiment as well.
So I didn't know all the stuff about Timothy and Timothy's family, and neither did Jayden. We found that out watching.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think actually I potentially found out some of it towards the end of
Yeah.
filming, but I didn't know for majority of it. And I didn't know about Cass and a lot of her story as well.
wow.
I mean, I didn't know about any of them, to be honest, but those two were the biggest like wow moments watching them, Cass and
Yeah.
Timothy. I was like, I can't believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was no girls' night.
yeah, why was that?
I reckon everyone stayed in the experiment too long. That's my opinion.
There
on
was
it
too many
anyway.
people.
Yeah, well then,
And
by
then
the
not
end-
enough to come back.
But yeah, by the end of where we would have done the girls' night, the people only left a week before.
Yeah, true.
So what
Actually,
reason
that,
would you?
That makes a lot of sense.
that
really.
was my view on it, but I don't know. Obviously, I don't work in production. I don't know what
final-
reason they did it.
The final dinner party, we got mixed messages on this because we felt that when Jayden said that, you know, when you had your honesty box, that, you know, he was falling in love with you and he did, it was this big moment. We felt like that was a showman moment.
Yeah.
In the moment, did it feel like that? Or when you watched it back, did you
See it
did you
differently?
see it differently?
I didn't feel that in the moment. I just couldn't even believe he said it. I was shocked, and obviously I was in love with him too. So I was
Yeah.
just soaking it up and loving every second of it. But I think watching it back, I was kind of like, I wish he'd done it in a more private, intimate way, I suppose. But I still did really enjoy it in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've spoken to a few people who were there that night, and they all behind closed doors said that they were questioning why he did it at a dinner party.
Well, that's what we thought too.
But
'cause
no
we
one
thought-
said that to me until we broke up.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, why did no one tell me that you all thought it was weird? Because I didn't think it was weird until they all started saying it was weird. And then I was like, oh.
I remember thinking it was very weird. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it just
It was out of
felt
nowhere.
as though it was a bit showmany. I felt. I don't know. Look, it was beautiful. Like I was so happy, and then
Yeah.
like it, you know, it gets to your final vows, and he's giving you a beautiful tennis bracelet, and you've got these beautiful fucking final vows, and you
Yeah.
ride off into the sunset. You know, then we get to reunion, and you're still together at reunion.
Yeah.
And reunion was kind of we didn't see a lot of
Yeah.
you really.
we didn't.
well, you didn't really have much. Yeah, obviously we know reunions all about the drama.
And it's also like the other couples, you know, how have you gone with the long distance? They're like, how have you guys gone? I'm like, yeah, I've seen him every day. Like, I don't know what you want me to say? Like, I have dinner with him every night. Like, you know.
Well, I reckon it's gotten to that point now where we can do the honesty box before we get into the post-experiment. We've got the sit with us honesty box.
Okay. The first one.
Yes.
How did you feel about Mitch? I really liked Mitch, to be honest. I got along with him really well. So I really liked him. The only thing that I questioned was watching it back when he called me controlling. But everything else, I really liked him.
And had you watched his season with Ella before meeting him, or was that something that you
No,
learned?
I watched it back. So I'd never watched your season before I went on the show. So I didn't have a preconceived idea of Mitch. I didn't have
Okay,
anything in my head of what
Okay,
he was like or how he is. Me and Jayden, sometimes at night, we'd watch back some of your season's episodes. So I've seen a bit now, not the whole thing, but I've seen like the big episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the main
I've seen
ones.
the wine glass.
Yeah, our retreat was nuts.
Yeah, no, I've seen like the big, you know,
Yeah.
your weddings and a few different things with Mitch. But yeah, I didn't have a major idea of him beforehand.
Oh,
Shit.
Oh no, what's this
God.
one?
what is this one?
Do you think Lauren and Sarah are actually girls?
Oh.
No.
Be honest.
I think they're girls for each other, but
Yeah.
not for anyone else.
Did
Yeah.
you ever
At all.
connect with Lauren at all? Like,
Yeah, I was friends with her at the start. I was definitely closer with Sarah, but I was friends with her through the beginning. And then I guess when me and Sarah fell out, like I drifted a lot with Lauren too. We never had a falling out or anything though. We were still on good terms. We'd text here and there, but nothing major. We weren't really close. Were there any red flags in the relationship that you can now see in hindsight? I guess just like not putting me first above other things, I suppose, because I feel like I always put Jayden first, I guess. So
Yeah.
I'm not perfect though. I definitely do things wrong, but I do. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
a red
but it's
flag.
a red flag for you, and that's
And I
fair
think-
enough. I think
If you're in love with someone, you would.
100%.
I guess. So.
Well, if you say you're in love with someone, you would move
anything.
mountains. You
Yeah.
would do anything for them.
yeah.
That's the way I see love.
Yeah.
Totally,
You know?
me too. Yeah,
So-
and yeah, in hindsight, I look back and I think why didn't I realize that? I suppose.
But that's what's also so amazing about this experience. And that's like when I came out of it, I really learned what I needed, what I wanted, what I deserved.
Yes.
And what I didn't want.
Yeah.
The times where you really needed him to show up for you were your hardest times in the experiment. Like moving forward, you know that you need a man who is going to like nurture you.
Yeah,
When you're in those highly anxious or highly strung or a confrontational situation might happen, like you know now what you really need from
totally.
Yeah.
And I think I've always been someone that's been very sure of my worth and my happiness and all of that. And I think looking back, it's not something that I want to go back to. I do really miss him and the good times and how good the good was. But I can see now that that I deserve better, I think. Do you think Jayden caused arguments to gain more airtime? How does this make you feel? No, I don't. He always says what he thinks. He's always going to put his 2 cents in. You know, like if he was sitting in this chair and you said something he didn't like, he'd argue with you.
Yeah.
That's not for airtime. Like that's
just
just
how
who
he
is.
Is he just an argumentative person?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. He will argue to the death. He will not give in until everyone agrees.
So he has to be right.
Has to be right, always. Yeah, and that was probably our biggest problem.
Yeah.
He couldn't see that he could ever be wrong, I suppose.
So like you were always going to lose no matter what.
Yeah, so that's why I always just go, yeah, okay.
Okay.
You're right and I'm wrong.
Well, yeah, we definitely need some therapy there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there a cliquey girl group vibe at the dinner parties? To be honest, not really. I don't think. I feel like it might have been different on your season, but yeah, not really. Like everyone was pretty good.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Can't relate.
Yeah, I mean, people clashed, but then everyone kind of came back together with it. But no, I wouldn't say it was super cliquey. There was obviously that really close friendship with those two girls, but apart from that, like everyone was really good.
Let's get straight into obviously post reunion. You know, unfortunately, you and Jayden split up.
Yeah. But it's only recently come out.
Yes.
You've had to tell everyone that you guys have broken up. You made your post on social media. Not long after, Jayden pretty much copied and pasted what you said on his breakup post.
And then, yeah, just on a random day, he come over and just, broke up with me out of the blue. Towards the end of the show being on TV.
So the show's coming to an end.
Yes. So it'd been, for people watching that don't know the timeline, it was October 23rd last year that we flew home.
Yeah.
We were together from then up until the last few weeks of it being on TV. So that possibly was like around the end of February, I think.
No,
Is that
babe,
right?
It's like March.
Oh, yeah. Maybe start of March.
So start of March.
Yeah, around that, I would say. Yeah.
Wow.
And
So I still date. Like we were still together a long time.
yeah.
yeah, you were.
Yeah.
And it's wild to me because you still then had to watch the show and see all of this.
And our
Happy-
biggest moments were all at the end.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was the last few weeks that I watched on my own. So yeah, it was pretty rough. There was a lot of tears those last few weeks watching those episodes. I know I was often voice memoing Ella.
Yeah.
Being like, oh my God.
And from the so he broke up with you. Had
Yes.
there been any communication between you two from like when you broke up? Like, have you seen him? Have you spoken to him other than the Nova event?
Yeah. We spoke most days after that, after we'd split, only on text.
Yeah.
But leading up to him breaking up, did you sense like something?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Like everything was
There were
normal.
no signs.
No. There was a couple of things about the relationship that were different to what I'm used to in a relationship, I suppose. And they were regular conversations that we'd had, but it was always that we wanted to work through it and get it to be really good, I suppose. It was never that they were so detrimental that we weren't going to be together. So it was really shocking to come out of the blue, I suppose. So I would often bring up these things that I wanted to be different, I guess.
You needed more.
Yeah. So Jayden is very strict with his sport and his training, so much to a point where he won't share a bed at night. So he likes to be able to stretch and recover. So that for me was like a big deal breaker, almost, because I'm like, I need to be able to share a bed with a partner. I feel like, the pillow talk, all of that. That's like where you really
cuddles. That's like the best part. Like that's the best part of being in a relationship.
Well, we would still cuddle. Like we'd eat dinner and cuddle and whatever, but then at bedtime and he didn't want to stay with me. So that was really
that's
concerning for me. And he did really try when I like vocalized how important that was to me. He did really try like once a week to come and stay. But then eventually one of the nights where he came to stay, he just said, I can't do this. Like I feel like I can't meet your expectations. And I was just like really confused by the expectation thing, because the only thing I'd ever asked from him is for a sleepover once a week.
So in the big scheme of things, is this him choosing career over relationship?
Maybe. But I also think that I do think I was pretty understanding of the career. Maybe at the beginning I wasn't, because I didn't get it. But towards the end, I get it. Like, and I was happy to sacrifice what I needed to. I don't know. I just think I wasn't what he wanted. And that's the bottom line. And I just really have to accept that.
So he came over and he says he just can't do it.
Yeah.
That's just.
Can't remember the exact wording, but yeah, it was just like, I feel like it's not working.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just had to accept
So
it.
that was that. He, walked out. You were still messaging.
I was bawling my eyes out.
Did you try to, like.
That night I didn't try and reason with him.
Okay.
I did try and say like, are you being irrational? And it was, no, I'm not. So I was like, oh, okay, this is a bit wild. And then I reckon the next day or a couple of days later we caught up again, and that's when I really tried to reason with him and say like, if there's things that you don't feel are right about this, then let's talk about it, because I'm happy to work on things if there's things that I'm doing or that we can do together or whatever it is. And yeah, he didn't want it. He wasn't interested.
He'd made his decision up.
Yeah, he made his decision. There was
swaying.
he didn't really even want to have the conversation, to be honest. We did still talk after that for that. It was like a week or so, I guess, before the Nova event, just about anything to do with the show. And, I really strongly don't like spoiling the story for the viewers, I know you guys feel the same.
Yes,
I really didn't want to
strongly,
spoil it. And I was also really upset by it myself. And I was also holding on to hope that he would realize that he was making the wrong decision. So I really tried to keep it to myself. A few of my good friends knew and stuff, but I really didn't want it to get to the media, because I wanted the story to be authentic, and I knew that we had such a beautiful love story on the show that I didn't want to ruin for everyone watching.
Yeah.
It comes to the Nova event, and were you feeling uncomfortable? Like, were you a bit nervous? Yeah, were you anxious to see him? What was it like? Like, what was it actually like at the event?
I was really close with him and his family the entire time. So they were going to babysit Cub while we went to Sydney to go to the event. So the night before the event, I went to his house and dropped Cub off, sat with them for dinner, like hung out. Everything was fine. He was lovely to me the night before. So I wasn't worried about going to Sydney with him the next day and going to the event and stuff, because we were good.
You were on good terms.
We were. We never had this big blow up fight where we broke up. It was just, he said it out of the blue and I just had to accept it. So
and you were still remaining hopeful going into
I was
this
very
event.
hopeful. Yeah. I suppose for me, the big thing was that I didn't want it to get to the media, because I didn't want to ruin the story for people, and I just didn't want it to come from someone else's point of view as well. If it was going to come out, I wanted it to come from my words.
Yeah.
And me and his words, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Both of our perspectives, rather than the random person that got like a little Chinese whispered version of why we broke up. We had discussed and said that let's not tell a certain couple of people at the event, because those people, when they find things out, it gets very stewed in the media. Stewed, is that the word? In the media?
Yeah.
So, that was the conversation we'd had, and we, were both happy with that. We went to the event and I was a bit confused, because on the microphone at the event, they ask everyone some questions. And they asked Jayden a few questions about me, and he started saying on the microphone about how much he meant it when he said he loved me. And
that would have been fucked hearing this.
He was talking about how successful our relationship was, and I was kind of like, but what's going on?
Going to that extent,
it's that.
Like the effort of having to say things, bring it up, in front of all these people.
Because it wasn't that we had to go there and pretend to be together. When you're on the show, you're not allowed to say whether or not you're together or not.
Yes.
So we just had to go there and be civil enough.
Be civil. Yeah, you just have to sit there. You didn't have to.
Wasn't, and they encourage you not to have PDA because they don't want to give away that you are or you aren't.
Right.
So they said, Jayden and Ridge, they were obviously together. Don't PDA. Kind of hard to stop them, but that was what it was. So it was fine for me and Jayden. And I'd spent every day with him for the last, so it's normal for me to like touch his arm or, that wasn't weird. Yeah. It wasn't like, let's pretend to be together at all. Let's not ruin the story for people when you don't answer when people ask. And that was the same the whole way through even when we were together. Yeah. So then he started saying that on the microphone and I was like, what the hell? Then I thought maybe he being here has made him realize sort of thing. But I kind of looked at him and I was like, what are you saying? Like, what are you doing? Like, stop. Because we're not meant to do that. And then as I was saying stop, he was like, don't tell me what to do. And I was like, okay. I was like, righto. So I just kind of like, I just sat back and I was like, right, okay. And he kind of got in a few biffs with Timothy and Sarah and stuff at the table. And I just stayed out of it. After the event, we all left to go to one bar, I suppose. And then at that bar, we were kind of all sitting around. And as soon as we got there, he just completely ignored me. He wouldn't look in my direction. He didn't say hello to me. He was at the bar buying everyone else drinks, never offering me anything.
No.
Wow. I was holding back tears hard the whole night. It was, it's even hard talking about it, honestly.
Yeah.
A few people, it is, honestly. A few people were coming up to me and saying, sorry. A few people were coming up to me and saying like, are you okay? Like, I've never seen this side of him. Like, I don't understand. Because no one had ever seen him be like this to me. Like, so they were all just like, what is he doing?
It's cruel. Like, it's actually cruel.
Yeah, it was. Hang on. Just give me a moment. So then,
mate, these boys.
Oh, that's fucking cruel, babe.
Yeah. Such a small act, right? Like just simply not offering you a drink.
Yeah.
It's such a small act and it's just like a real big fuck you. For no reason. Like a small thing.
It was like embarrassment as well in that.
Of
like
course.
everyone else was coming up to me being like, why is he ignoring you? Why is he being so rude? Like everyone was noticing it, not just me. And I was like, I don't know. And I was like trying to just be like, it's all good. Like just sitting there smiling.
Yeah, just trying to get through it.
He was sitting in at the table next to Lauren and then one of the paparazzi people who were there started filming around the table and then they panned to them and she kind of like grabbed her chest and like was like rubbing it into his chest sort of thing. And then she was like, Eden, look, like, do you approve? Like, look at this.
What?
Then they like kind of panned to me and I was just sitting there like, yeah, like I'm not the kind of girl who's going to be like, what's wrong? What are you doing? So that was obviously pretty upsetting. And then obviously the conversation that Jayden and I had about not giving that information to those people. So all of
and Lauren was one of those people not to give that information to.
Yes.
And he'd obviously gone against everything that he just said to you.
Which is what he did in the show.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like, but this
so
is in
I
real
was
life.
like, what is going on? So I just thought, whatever, that's that. I'll just leave that. And then kind of everyone was leaving at that point. We all left the bar and as we go to walk outside the bar, I walked out first and he was just behind me, like with me sort of thing. And then he kind of turned around and went back inside and was like, Sarah, you walk out with me. Like, let's do a scandal. Cause there was paparazzi out the front taking photos. Like, let's do it. He was joking like, but you're joking at my expense.
No,
that's
exactly.
the thing.
It's not a joke when you're hurting someone. I'm sorry. When you're
that's the point.
purposefully
Yes.
hurting someone, it's not a joke.
So then I was kind of standing outside by myself like, what is going on? Like, how has this turned to this? Like, I've just been with this guy every single day for this long and he's just doing this. I couldn't believe what was happening. And then pretty much everyone was going home. The two girls were going to a club and he said that he was going to go to the club too. I think one of the girls said to me like, are you going to come? And I said, well, no, he's ignoring me. Like,
why would you want to be around?
Why the fuck would you?
Why would I keep myself in a situation that's going to continue to make me feel like shit?
Yeah.
And humiliate me and embarrass me.
Yeah.
Like, I would much rather remove myself.
Yes. I was like, nah, he's ignoring me. Like, why would I come kind of thing? And then I started crying and then the two of them ran off, got in the car and left.
And left you while you're crying
while I was there crying.
on the street.
Yeah. And Jayden and Ridge were still standing with me, one of the paparazzi and another friend that's unrelated to MAFS was also there. They were all comforting me and they ran off to the car, Jayden included. Jayden and Ridge dropped me home in an Uber which was nice. And then I didn't sleep a minute after that. I just laid up in bed all night just bawling my eyes out. I didn't even know anything further than this, right? So then the next morning I wake up and I have someone reach out and say, you know, these videos are coming up. So do you want to see them first? Which I really appreciate because I would rather see them before the world sees them. Like I wanted the time to deal with it myself. So yeah, I received them and I guess seeing that after I left, which was just like them walking into the bar arm in arm. I don't think that was them trying to hook up with each other. I don't think it was like that.
Yeah.
They were playing it up for camera. They were having a bit of a laugh. I know that it was a joke. I know that it wasn't like we're going to go home together kind of thing.
Yeah.
That wasn't the vibe. But your joke was at my expense.
Fully at your expense. There was no respect whatsoever.
Yes.
Like even if you're going home or you're not going home, like that's enough. That's enough to do the damage.
It's just that doing that, knowing I'm going to see it and like you didn't care about how I felt.
To simply put it, he did not give a fuck.
No, I obviously went out in media after this and said that I felt it was intentional.
Yeah.
And now given the context of the story, I'm sure you can understand why I think it's intentional.
It definitely was intentional.
It was 100% intentional.
Yeah, it was funny for them. All of them. I think to all three of them, it was funny.
But funny in what sense? Like funny, haha, let's upset Eden?
I don't know.
Because who else is going to find, who's going to find this funny?
Even when I was there, you know, rubbing the chest and saying, Eden, look. And then I leave and it's like grabbing his hand and rubbing it on your boob. And the bottom line is like, yeah, I'm really disappointed and upset with her behavior. But this is Jayden's fault.
Yeah.
It's not anyone else's because if Jayden had any respect for me, he would have said, don't do that.
Yeah.
Stop. This is not nice.
Yeah. And knowing how upset you have been, knowing how upset you are only a couple of weeks earlier that he broke up with you as well, knowing how you're not
he knew
dealing.
I was shattered.
Yeah.
And I vocalized how shattered I was.
I'm just
to
so
him.
angry right now. Like I'm actually sweating.
Everyone had noticed how uncomfortable it was for me and how he was ignoring me and stuff. Like multiple people had come up to me and said that. So for them to do that and not notice, like they noticed. Everyone noticed. It was very obvious. Yeah. So then further from this, I think I obviously was just so disappointed in Jayden because
of course
it was Jayden's role to say, Eden's going to see this, stop. If he did that in 6 months' time, sure. But
it was 2 weeks.
A week, 2 weeks.
A few hours after he sat at a table
and said how much he meant it when he loved me. He said that maybe 2 hours before and then did this straight after. So I was just
lowest of the low. I'm sorry.
Really upset with Jayden that next day, and I didn't even want to talk to him. I didn't want to reach out. Nothing. I was like, that's the nail in the coffin for me, I think. And because as I said, going into that event, I was really hopeful that he was just being irrational and we were going to sort it out and everything would be fine. But then I did reach out to Lauren the next day and basically said like, I'm really disappointed and I'm really upset with the way that went down, and for you to act like that when I wasn't there, like it's really upsetting. Just talking on her part of it. Obviously I think Jayden's part's far worse.
Of course. Yeah.
But yeah, and she never replied.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then in one bit of media that she did, she mentioned that she thought we were together. She didn't know that we'd split up.
Okay.
So she said, I didn't think it was a problem. Like I was just acting how I would normally act.
Really?
Yes. And then in another bit of media, she said she knew we'd broken up, so she didn't think it was a big deal. So I don't know what's true and what she actually thought. I left that for a few days.
That's fucked.
I stayed in Sydney for probably 4 days after that event and Jayden flew home. And then the days following he was out with Cub and taking Cub out for walks and
because his mum was looking after Cub.
Yes.
And then he went home and he's out in the Gold Coast, walking
Being seen
around
with
with your dog.
Which he does not deserve the beauty and the
In
grace
public.
and the love of that.
Oh, this beautiful animal, isn't he?
It's a beautiful Baba.
And then I got Cub back, and that's when I reached out to, he knows we're talking about him. That's when I reached out to Jayden and I said, it's been, a week or so and I've had no apology. You don't seem to feel anything for the way you've made me feel. I'm really upset. I'm really hurt by that night. And he never replied either. Wow. So I've never heard from either of them since that night.
No apology. No.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I don't know.
Sorry.
Whether it was intentional to hurt me or not, I don't know. I think that it was. I feel that it was. But even if it wasn't, I've vocalized that it did hurt me, and I still haven't got an apology from anyone. And I just don't think I could ever be around or friends with people that can know how much they hurt me and how much pain they put me through in those 2 days following that and not apologize. I sat in my room in tears for the entire day the next day after that. And Lucinda was in the same hotel as me and she was just such an angel.
Thank God for her then.
And she was so amazing to me that next day, which was great. And I ended up going out for dinner with her the next night and Timothy, and they were really good. They picked up the pieces for sure.
Wow.
Yeah. And Tani Cook as well, I'll add.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Eden, I'm so fucking sorry that you had to go through that.
It's not your fault. It's
Like,
okay.
like my heart is actually aching.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost anything to be a nice human.
Yeah.
And, you know, when people get a big head for whatever reason it is, it eventually is their own comeuppance.
It seems as if it's also a bit of a trend for these boys.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, like I do. And, you know, when Jayden came on the show, I was like, you know, at the start I was convinced that he's nothing like Mitch.
I think there is similarities and there's differences too. There definitely is differences, but there is a lot of similarities, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it's the fact is that you, me, very genuine with morals, values. You know, we go on the show for the right reasons, and it's men like this that we question us. Is it us? You know? And that's what I was doing for such a long time after the show when all the stuff happened with Mitch and Tamara and whatever the truth is, I also never found out.
Yeah.
And I would question, is it me? But I think this is just like another reminder that it's not you. Like this is purely a reflection of Jayden.
When someone's stuff starts hurting someone else in a way that is avoidable, that's when it's like, check yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like there's no excuse, I personally think, in this day and age. There's no excuse.
I think people make mistakes though, and that's the thing. So with that night, like,
but that's
maybe
not a mistake.
Maybe he drank a lot, you know? But this is what I mean though. If he had gone the next morning and said, I fucked up, I'm sorry.
But there's nothing
that's what I mean.
It's not a mistake.
This is what I mean. He didn't apologize.
Yeah,
So
he
it's
didn't
not a
apologize.
mistake.
It's like,
but if he had
regardless.
apologized, I could have remained a friendship with him. I don't think he has my best interests at heart anymore after that
you
night.
You know what, babe?
Yeah.
It seems like he didn't throughout the experiment either, which was for a long time.
Yeah.
Whenever the cracks started appearing, the main core thing was he did not care about what you needed.
Yes.
During.
Yeah.
And post-show and his actions at the Nova party with the girls, like he knew how that was going to upset you.
He breadcrumbed you to give you little bits of it.
But like
he knew how much it would
knew.
upset with you, especially considering the whole backstory
That's
of it.
what I mean.
Yeah.
Like you shared information to Sarah, you confronted her, you cut that friendship, and he knew that.
Yes.
For them,
he also really wanted me to. That was a point I forgot to add in that during that time, it was very like, why would you want to be friends with someone like that? That's what he was saying to me. So then for then it to flip, I'm not friends with them, but then he wants to be. I'm like, I've done what you wanted as well, and not been friends with the person. So yeah, it was a pretty crazy night, to be honest.
It's honestly like it upsets me that like you've literally gone through the same shit.
Yeah. I think it was the day after that Nova event when I told you that me and Jayden had split.
And I was just like, wait, what?
Yeah. Because I just really didn't want it to get out, and I didn't know who to trust and who not to and stuff. But then after that night I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. And obviously it was pretty obvious after that night, but yeah, until I announced it, I suppose, once the show ended.
And so where are you today? Like, how are you feeling about Jayden, the girls, like that whole situation? Like, where are you at with that?
I really miss him, of course.
Yeah.
You know, I spent so much time with him and he was like my best friend in the whole world, and I had the best time with him. And I am really, really grateful that I was paired with him during the show, because if I was paired with anyone else, I wouldn't have had such a positive and great experience. Obviously, we've talked a little bit on the negative of the experience, but the majority of me and Jayden's time was really good. Like it honestly was great, and it was like a fairy tale, like the wedding and the honeymoon and even final vows and all of that. It was amazing. So I am grateful, but at the same time, I know my worth 100%, and I know that that's not where I need to be. And I won't let someone treat me like that and not apologize for it ever in my life.
What's that thing you say, babe? You say, he's out there and he's looking for you too.
I said it to I said it to Dom today. Just as much as you're looking for him, he's also looking for you.
Yeah.
Because he
That's
is.
so sweet.
Well, he is, because I believe that there is a person for everyone out there. And even if you do break up and you may divorce or whatever, I do believe that there is going to be another person.
Yeah.
Because you can have more than one person. I believe that.
I believe
But
that too.
he is out there and he's looking for you too. And I believe that like the show served you your purpose, and you're right, you got lucky with Jayden for the experience.
Yeah. And I did learn a lot from it too. Like there was flaws of my own that were highlighted in the show. Like it's not all just about everything Jayden did wrong.
Of course.
There was flaws of mine that were highlighted that I know that I need to work on in my next relationship.
Yeah.
Obviously I haven't had the opportunity to do that in my relationship with Jayden, but I'll know to work on those things in my next one. And I hope that he does the same for his next one too, you know, and because he has some really great qualities and he does some really lovely things and at times treated me amazingly. And I'm sure the same with me. I'm sure at times I treated him well and then at times I probably didn't. So yeah, there's learning for both of us for all of it, I think.
Eden, thank you so much for joining us here today and sit with us.
Thanks for having me.
Honestly,
It's been a roller coaster of an interview.
It really has. I've gone through every bit of emotion. I'm sure you have as well.
Yeah. Brought up all the feelings again.
All the feels, but I think, you know, you were so amazing and you just held yourself with such grace and, you know, you still continue to do that even now with, you know, the hurt and the betrayal. I know our audience sees that and I know they're going to love
you. Everyone adores you.
Exactly. And they're so excited to listen to this. I just know. And thank you to special guest Cub for coming here and providing the cuddles and the hair
of the century.
The absolute icon.
Yeah, he has made the room filthy, but it was worth it.
It was so worth it. Like I'm obsessed with him.
Oh, he's so beautiful.
He's just the best. And they heal, right? They just heal everything.
Oh,
every wound that you could possibly have.
And dogs really do teach you that actions speak louder than words because dogs can't speak right. But has anyone ever loved me the way that this dog does? Never. And no one probably ever will.
Yeah.
It's like, no, but seriously.
No, but it's the truth.
It's like, it's more about the way you treat people rather than the words that you say.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's definitely a testament to that.
Well, thank you, Eden and Cub, for joining us. It's been amazing. And we wish you all of the happiness and
we can't wait to see what's next for you.
Yeah, we can't wait.
I'm so excited.
The sky's the limit now.
Yep.
Honestly, the sky is the limit.
And he's out there looking for you, babe.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Go give her a hug, Cub. Come on. Come on. He's so beautiful.
I know. Wow, babe.
Come here, Bobby.
How do you feel?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.